So continue from where we stopped last time, where we talked about Matplotlib. It is still the same principle. Import the Matplotlib, and then you use NumPy, and we now use the X, which is like the X here, so which we use Collins, Blake, Nolo, and Steph, and we are looking at these numbers, and we use plot bar, then gives us like this, and that is in vertical. You can see that X is here and Y is the other way, and then plot X and Y, and then you plot show. So in the same vein, I'm going to copy this and I will paste this. So what I just want to change here is I want to add H, which is horizontal, and when I run this particular code, you will see that we have the same result, but it is going to be in, we have a result, but it's going to be in the horizontal, that is H. So you see here we have Steph here, and you can see this way Steph, which is around Steph is around 9, as you can see here 9, the same thing that happened here 9, and Lulu here is around 5 or so, and here it is also around 5. Collins is the beginning here. So what the difference between the bar here is that it goes in vertical, whereas the bar H goes in horizontal. So that is just the difference that is in here. Then in the same vein, we're also going to proceed to do the same thing. We have the bar takes the functional, which takes you in vertical, and then bar H takes it in horizontal. So this is just the different thing I want you to understand. So once you change and put bar H, so the same thing, but it's going to put it in horizontal. So in the same vein, I also want to put up a color, and then what I'm just going to pass through here, the same way we do the same thing, is just here I'm going just to go pass through color, and I'm going to say equal to, and I can put it up red or green, and I'm going to run the same thing, and you see automatically that changed to green color. The same thing happen if you also put this. So let me copy this as well, copy it down, and when I copy this also, and I'll also paste it here, then let me change this thing to black, and then turn this thing to bar H, which is to horizontal, and if I run the code, you will see that it's going to be black in horizontal. So this is a way you can pass a color to it. So any color you pass through it to it, it's also is going to work that way. So you can use any of the color supported. There are about 140 colors supported, and that color supported is what you're going to use, either red, like for example, what I mean by color supported is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. The different color supported: black, red, green, blue. Let's say for example hot pink is also a type of color. So if you pass hot pink as a color to it, it gives you this type of color. So that is just what we need to get. Also in the same vein, you can also use the color of hexadecimal. Like hexadecimal is color, like for example, let me go down to this, let me use this and type color, let me put hexadecimal here. Good. So you can see different other types of color as you see here now. For example, this is this. So you have this up here, and if you select the color that looks like this, it automatically sees this color, and you see the color in decimal place. If you select this, it becomes red, and you also see the color. So this is the same way you can pick up a color. So what you just need to do is, let's say it is a red, or it is green, or it is violet. So you also need to select and copy the color, and when you copy the color, you pass it up here to where it's supposed to be. And here I'm just going to paste this I copy here, and I run the same code. So you see the color comes this way. So in your own vein, you can change this color. There are different types of color. You see here, as I'm dragging it around, you see the way it is changing. You see different types of color here between 20 to 265. See the way I'm changing. So once, if I want it to be more of yellow, I will drag it to yellow and drag this to here. Look at the color here. I can just copy the color here and put it here, the same thing, and then I'm going to pass it here. So this is still the same vein. You see up here, you have the same color this way. So what I'm trying to say is that the color hexadecimal color works as well, just like the same way you can pass, like I pass hot pink here, I can pass black to this, and I pass green to this, and this one by default it is blue. So you can also go to here, like the way I put here, I just put a HTML color code, or you just put color hexadecimal code. You see it here. So as you move this around here, the way different colors you want to be, as this one is looking up here, if that's the color I want, I can click on it. You see it here. I will copy the color code and then come down to color here and then pass the color in here, and I run this, the code is going to give me this color. So this is a way you can pass a color code to it. And then this is different colors. Like I said, we talk about the color first. I talked about the direction, which I talk about by each. Then I talk about the color, which is what I pass in here. So maybe I will need to like write a comment up here, add a plus sign, and I say here, and let me put 2 so that it will be a smaller one. Then I'm going to put it bar color. So, and change this into markdown and press shift enter so that it will be like a subheading. So this is a color, and then these are different color. Here on this particular part, I pass the same thing, which is also going to be 2. So I'm going to still make it bar color, and I am going to pass the bar color. I'm going to say it is, like I said, it's going to be a hexa color. So hexadecimal, which is HEX. Here you put decimal. So, and then let me close it up and change this thing from code to markdown and press shift enter to now make it like a tag. So you can pass different kind of colors in here. Just go to your site, select any color HTML, drag this in around, and wherever you select, as a change here, copy this with the hash and then pass it as a color. It's going to give a color in hexadecimal. So this is the way you can do it, like the way you can go get it done. So the next thing I want us to talk about a bit is bar width. So when it comes to bar width, so back, select this, change it to markdown, and then select again, press shift enter and become bar width. Now when it comes to bar width, what it means is what will be the width of the bar. So let me copy this ahead here and then paste it down here. Now what I mean by the color bar is what is the size. So in that way, I'm going to use what we call width. Now in width here, I am going to pass this into it, which I'm going to put like 0.2. Then when I run this, you're going to see the size of the color, that is width, argument width. That is 0.1, and run. It's saying that the color bar says the width, width, bar width, yeah. So it's going to be this way. So this is 0.1, and if I change this the width to 0.4 and I run the same thing, and you see how big it is, I will change this thing to 0.8 and I run the same thing. This is how big it is. So it means if I want to change this thing to the width as the size is this, I can pass the width as it is, and I can also pass the color inside it again, just like we did. Control Z. So I'm going to paste the color code I copied before and then close it up, and I run it like this. So it means I need this color code. So I have passed two things into it, the width and the color. So what if I change this thing to something like 5 and run the same code? You can see how big it is. So this is a way you can change the color, the width and the color, pass it at the same time. So this is much because of the cluster. So if I reduce it to 2 and run the same thing, you can see here. What if I make it to 1? Reduce this thing to 1, you can see here it is very, you see the way it is. If I make it 0.8, so I'm going to put 0.8 and run it, and you can see there is a space between them. I can also put it 0.1 and then I run it, becomes smaller. So this is a way I can pass the size into it. This is in this part, this is width. Now what about the aspect of me talking about the height? Now the height, like I said, these have to do with the same thing. I takes this into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, which I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go down here, paste it, and in this aspect of this I'm going to put height. So when I put height and I run this code, saying that okay, the height have to be in h, which is bar h, like I said earlier. So I'm going to run this, and the height goes in like this. As you can see, this is the height. So the height is this. So what if I change the height to 0.9 and run this, and you can see how it looks. So if what it means is that when it is horizontal, this is what you require as height, but when it is vertical, this is what we have here. Like example, let me change this in a bit to 0.8, and you see this is the big. So it means that in height we are talking about the width. This is the width between here to here is the width, but when it is in horizontal, which I am using bar h here, the height become here to here. So this is the same thing here. I put 0.9 here and I put 0.8 here. So this is the height, whereas when it is vertical, this is the width. So this is just two things you need to know whenever you are making a work, but also know that the default height is 0.8. If you don't pass any argument into it, that becomes 0.8. Now this is the aspect of bar. So I am moving straight to the next one, which we have finished talk about everything that like Matplotlib. So I am going on to start with a subtopic, which I am going to type here, and I'm going to say Matplotlib, and I'm going to make it histogram, and I'll press shift enter. Now in histogram is a graph that shows frequency and distribution. So it shows the number of observations within each of the intervals. For example, if you ask people like 10 people what that they might end up like, if you ask for 10 people what is the height, then you might end up like having a histogram that brings in 10 people into the different heights. Like for example, you have people that are together, and this person say two, we are two, and our height is this person said our height is this. So how do you create histogram? Now it is still the same way which we talked about. So I'm going to copy this down here, going down here also to paste it. So this histogram is simply the way it is. So I am going to, this time I'm going to use NumPy right now, and then to bring in the number first. So in this part I'm just going to use NumPy to array the number. So I'm going to remove this, and when I remove this, and then I'm going to have x, I'm going to like bring in a number. So I'm going to say NumPy random. Then in my random, I want to get a random.normal, that is normal distribution of random numbers, and I'm going to say give me the aspect of, let's say, a number that have to do with this of about 10, like 10 and let's say 250, and then I close up this. And then the next thing I need to do is I can say within this kind of the normal random number that I want it to give me. So I want it to now print. So I can go ahead and say print x. Now if I run this particular code, I'm going to have a random number that is within this size and the total number that is between this range here, as you see here. So I have this random number that could generate as many as I want. So this is a normal distribution, which is simply a random number to give me about 250 values, where the distribution have to be around 170 and the standard deviation have to be 10. So it means that if I need a number that is about 100 and I need a 170, so let me say 10, and I need a standard deviation of 10, and the number have to be centered. I need about 250 of them. So the total number I have here is 250. If I need it like 25, it means I have to remove this and have only 25. If I run this, it means I will generate a random number of 25 with the value of, so what I mean is that the first number here, I'm going to comment it, the first number here is have to be the first value there, have to be the number, the total number, like it have to center around here. That is, the first number I have in here means that I want it to center around that particular number, which is to concentrate value. The value I need value to concentrate, then which is the first number. Then the second number here is that I want the number to have a standard deviation. So the second number is the standard deviation, while the third number here inside this particular things I did now have to be a total, which is going to be a how many values do I want it to generate. So how many values, so how many value. So what it means is that the first number here means center around here. So if you look at what I have here, it means the first value is to concentrate within this. You see 8, it have to concentrate within here. And the second number, it says give me the standard deviation. What it will be deviating within this is this, and that means if I need to get a number of 1000, I can just pass 1000 here. It means give me a 1000 number that is within here. So if you count this number you see here, this is purely 1000 numbers. So this is randomly how I want to generate the number that I want to use. So with that, you can get the normal distribution. So if you make this kind of a thing, how do you plot this type of number in a height like this? So what I'm going to do is that to make this thing smaller, I'm going to leave it at 100, so that we only have 100 number. And you can see we have 100 number, 100 number that is going to be around 100, and I need around deviating of 10. You can see here that from between here 99, 94, 95, 100, 94, 113. So it is deviating revolving around here, and it is within 100, and it have the total size of 100. So now how do I get this thing plotted? So to get this thing plotted, we could do something like, to save my time, I just need to copy up this. I'm going to copy this up, and I want to plot this. So I'm just going to say in this same vein, generate this number for me, because I just need the random number within this range. So I'm going to random number within this range, and I'm going to say plot the histogram. Like I said, to plot a histogram, you need to pass a hist. Before, we are using plot bar, we use scatter, we use different kind of this thing. So but now we're using hist, like a histogram. Then remember our this thing, which is the tpl.show, and then you open and close the bracket. Then when you run this, as you see, we are going to have this. What does it mean? I use this to generate a number that is within 100, that's revolving around this. So if you look here, you see that this is the x, which is within 100. Now it means that each of these places, it means that the one between 70 to somewhere here is around 4. If you look here, the total number that is between, if you look here, we're around 25. You will see that if you check this number, it means that you have around 25 numbers that are within the array of 100. That means the concentration is higher on 100, the number that randomly generates here. So this is a way you can make a generation using a histogram. So what I did is I created a histogram and I passed hist to create a histogram, and I now just use a simple NumPy to generate a random number that I will use to create a histogram. You might have a project or a work that you might need to create that is not, you don't need to generate. So but in some cases you want to generate, this is a particular way you can generate it. So I now go to what I called, I'm going to say Matplotlib. Then I will go home, put the hash, and then change this to markdown and please shift enter. Let me change this thing to say something like creating pie chart. So we have talked about bar, we talk about histogram. Now we want to talk about pie chart, and in pie chart you still use the same thing, you still use the same way we use. So I am going to pie chart. Pie chart, you use it to draw a pie chart that we know. So I am going to also use this, but in this case I am just going to use the first line because I'm going to use NumPy and Matplotlib. The next thing is to use R, and I'm returning back to, instead of random distribution, I'm going to use array that we have been using. And when I use array, I am going to pass numbers into it, and when I pass numbers into it, now I'm going to change this into pi because I'm creating a pie chart. And when I change pi to, and when I run it, I'm going to create a number within. It says I pass 3 into position argument, so it means 1, I have to put it in a list. Put a list which is going to cover in between it here, and I have 3 numbers here. So you see here I have 100, this is 360, and we remember the way we do our this thing. To get the value of this, it have to be this value over this divided by 3 multiplied by 360, the same way by 100, because this is a circle. So it means that this is 100, another 100, and this is, here you see here we have 10. So to give you a practical example here, I'm going to pass 2 arguments. I'm going to put 180, and I'm also going to put 180 in both of them. So that means if you divide 360 into 2, you're going to have equal half here. You can see I have 180 here. You see, this is half of it. So if I pass 90 to it, so I'm going to have 90, and I'm also going to pass 90 into it. So this is also going to be the same thing as 180, because 90 and 90, it have to be 90 over 360 multiplied by 100. So if I pass another 90 to it, and I pass another 90 to it, I'm going to have fourth quadrant, which is 90 in between them. You see I have here 90, 90, 90, and 90. So in the same vein, if I pass 45 1, 45 2, 45 3, 45 4, 45 5, 45 6, 45 7, 45 8. So I'm going to have the quadrant going to come this way, because it is 45 45, you multiply this is going to give you 360. So this is exactly the way I can pass this into it. So in this way, anyhow you do it, anytime I want to draw it, it always default, it plot the first width starting from the x-axis and then move counterclockwise. Whatever you do, it started, this is what you just have to note, that anytime it start to work, or the first place it counted is from here. Now let me give you example. I'm going to change these two to make both of them 90. Now if I make it 90, you will see that where that is going to take the first position of 90 is here. So I'm going to run the code. This is 45 45, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This parenthesis does not match, so I made a mistake here. I'm supposed to put this here, and let me run the code. You see that what I mean is that it will always start here. Anything, it have to start here and move anti-clockwise. This is a default way it happened. It happened in such a case that by default the first wedge or the first place is going to start at the x-axis and is going to go anti-clockwise direction. So this is just what you need to know. Now I want to change this thing, remove this thing and put it 180. Now I'm going to remove 145 here and another 45 here. And in that way, if I run this code, it's going to start here and take it completely. This is where it's going to remain the rest. So I run it up here, it's going to start first here and go this way. So this is what you need to understand when you are plotting a bar chart, and that the size of the each is determined by the values using the formula. Like I said, the formula which this thing takes place here is that it uses the formula which we already know, which is x, for example, all over the sum of the x. So this is just like a simple way we need to know. This is the formula it uses, which all of us know how to calculate this formula. So this is the way you're going to use. So what it means is that you take x here, this 180 all over the sum of whatever that is here, multiply by 1. So you take it the same way you calculate and you get this thing now. Now the next thing I'm going to talk is, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put here, and then I'm going to put I label. Now how do you make this labeling? I'll go down here, change it to markdown and go in here. So I'm going to copy this same code and then I'm going to go down a bit here and paste this. Now when it comes to labeling, all you just need to do is, we have to reduce this. I'm going to probably make this 90. Let me make this 90, and when I run this code I have this. Now what I'm going to do is that when I want to label this, let me take this off here, I don't need it. Then I'm going to take off this, go down here, and when I want to label it, I'm going to say, for example, whatever I want to label. So I'm going to say my label is equal to, then I'm going to, the first thing I need to do here is that I am going to put here, the first person is, I'm going to put Steph, and then I'll close it. The second thing I want to label is Pablo. Then the next thing I want to label there is Nulo. Then the next one I want to label is here is Stella. Then I have 1 2 3 4 5. Then I have 1 2 3 4. Then it means I need to pass 1, and then let me use spelling here, and then the next thing I have to do that is I have to close it as a list. So in this way, so when I am plotting, after putting that I want to plot for that particular distance, so all I just need to do is to say labels, then I'm going to pass this my labels. So I can change this thing to my labels or whatever. So I'm going to still pass my labels like the way the variable that I have declared. So I'm going to say labels, my labels. So yeah, I'll do still plus show, and when I make this, it sees that the first 90 here is Steph, the second one is Pablo, the third one, this is what will let you understand what I mean by it will start in anti-clockwise. You see, it label these things here and return back here. So this is a way you can pass label into it. And like I said, as I said, that it starts with x-axis, but you can also change where the angle is going to start. So it starts, the zero start from here and goes in this way. So now in order to change the angle here, so the same thing you can actually do is that you can say here, when you pass it here, now by default it starts with negative, but if you want to change the angle, to what you need to do is, after passing the labels here in here, you can say something like start angle. Now when you say start angle and you say 180, what will happen? 180. For example, when I say 180 and I say start my angle there, and remember I put up this, so I'm passing a start angle. So when I say start angle and I run this, it's going to start the beginning which the beginning here have to be sterling, and the sterling, which is Stephanie, sorry, is 90 here. So, and I put 180. From here is negative, that is 0. This is 180. It's going to start it from here. So if I want it to start from 90 here, then I'm going to change the start angle here, and I'm going to say start it from 90. It's going to start from here. You see Stephanie here will return back here. If I run the code, you see Stephanie starting from here. What if I wanted to start angle of 45? I will also put angle 45 here. So I'm going to pass 45 to the angle of where it's going to start. So it's going to start 45 here. You see here, this is 90. This is half of it, 45. So it's going to start like this. So this is the way you can start an angle, and it automatically start from that particular place. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is the aspect of exploding. So let me put a title a bit to this. So I'm going to click this to add up, and I'm going to say here, I'm going to say start angle. So in start angle, I'm going to go return here, and I will change this thing to markdown, and then I'll press shift enter, and this is start angle. So the next thing I want to talk about a bit is exploding. How do you explode? So I'm going to do explode, return back here, go to markdown, and then click shift enter, and it goes down to explode. So I'm still going to copy this code, and I'm going to paste it here. Now in aspect of exploding, what is exploding? Exploding is the way you use to like get these wedges explode from each other from the center. You have it to have break between them. Now I'm going to use the same thing. I'm going to use the name, I'm going to pass it, but I'm going to say explode. So I don't want to use explode because explode is something you understand. So I'm going to use like my explode, like I use let's explode. Then if I want it to explode, I am going to say here the first one I want it to explode it by 0.5. For example, this is the first one I want. The second one I want to explode by 1. The third one I don't want it to explode, so I'll pass 0 to it. And the fourth one I want it to also explode 0.5. Now what am I going to do? I will close it up with the list, this thing. So the next thing I need to do inside here, I am going to pass another this in which I'm going to say explode, which is the keyword that it does understand. I'm going to call my explode, which is what I have here. So if I now go here and say copy this and put this in here as what do I want it to be? I want it to explode this. So when I run this code, I am going to have explode. It says x length does not match. The explode must be of x length. The explode must be of x length. So it have to be the same length. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, sorry. So I want to pass this again. So I need to pass, let's make this one 2 1, so that we have this. So now this is the kind of explode I did here. Now what it means is that I now get this thing explode this way. Now if you look at this is the center here. You see that it is only Nulu, which is the number third one, didn't move. But if you see here, you see that explode, the first one, Stephanie, which starts here. Okay, let me remove where it is going to start, and let me change the starting angle to start at 0, so that Sterling will come back to the original place here. Stephanie, now you look here, Stephanie started from the origin, but it is only Nulu that is at the center. Why? Because Nulu have circle 0 3 and 0 here. Now it means that if I want Stephanie, which is the first one, not to explode, I will simply return it to 0. And if I run this, Stephanie is going to move together with Nulu, and you see here they are together here. Now this explode out by the first one is Pablo, and Pablo is the second one, 1. So Pablo exploded by 1, and you see how far it is. Now the same distance with Sterling, because Sterling also exploded by 1, and then here Stella didn't move far because it's 0.5. So if I change stellar to 0.2 in exploding, it means that if I run the same code, you are going to have this aspect of this coming closer to what it is. So what it means is that at any given time you want to check the distance between the exploding, so you use these particular tools in making up the explode. So that explode tell you how distance it is to it. So that is aspect of exploding. So now I will move over to the next one, which is shadow. Assuming you want to have a shadow in it, how do you get the shadow done? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this. Now before I go ahead and talk about this a bit, so let me return this by passing 0 to it and run this, and this bring closer to this. And then let me also bring Pablo, which is 1 here. Let me bring it by 0.2, so I'm going to use 0.2 and I'm going to run this, and Pablo is going to come a bit close. So let me return back to shadow. Now when it comes to shadow, the shadow is going to do this for you, which is putting a shadow to it. So let me a bit add up this and put up this here, and then go here, put back a bit, and I'm going to type shadow and change this thing to this, and I'm going to put up this, and then we are going to have a shadow in here. So in aspect of shadow, it is still the same thing, but the difference is now I have this thing. So I am just going to pass the same thing I copy here, and I'm going to say comma, and I'm going to say shadow and is equals to true. So when I pass shadow equals to true to it and I run it, I am going to have it have a shadow. You can see here that it have a shadow here, 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 here. You can see the way it have a shadow. So this is a way I can pass a shadow into it. Now how do I determine which color do I want it to have? I want it to have a particular type of color for me. So what am I going to do? I'm also going to copy this color. So let me put a title here and name is as here, and I'm going to put this up here and name it like color. Now change this thing down to markdown and then click on this, and I am going to copy the rest of this, return back here and paste it. So in here I'm going to now say here, up here, I'm going to say my color, for example, is equal to, then I want to pass different colors of my choice to it. So do the same thing, bringing up this, and then you can say, let's say black. So I'm going to have a black, then comma, I think it is 5, I'm going to have blue. So I'm going to have blue, then I'm also going to have, coming down here, I'm going to have green, comma, I'm going to have yellow, and then I'm going to have red. So I have here red, then I close this up. So when you run this code, you will see that these have been determined by the color. Then here, what do I need to pass here? I need to pass here and say color, like colors is equal to, and I call my color. Now if I run this particular code now, you see now that it goes with the code of the color that I have changed it. So this is 0, so let me bring this now 0.2, and which other one is 5 again, let me make this in 0, 0.3, and I run this. Let the explode come closer. You can see the way the color looks. Let me make 0.2, and then I'll run this. You can see the way the color looks now. So you see I have here below the way it is looking now, I determine the color which it bears. So this thing comes together and the color. So you can pass the color also as B, like we said, R for red, and rest of them. So before I close up here, I'm going to be talk about here. I'm going to talk about legend, which is legend. Now in legend, it comes up with this. So I'm going to have a legend here. I'm going to press shift enter, and here I'm going back to copy the same code I am using, and then I'm going to paste it here. Now in legend, what it simply means is adding to explain to people or whoever that is working on it, this is what it means, like this is what you are working on. So this is what legend means. So I am just going to like show how, like, all of us know the meaning of legend. So I'm going to like try to explain what each of them means. Like, this is what this one means, this is what this one means. So that's exactly what I want to do. So with that, I should be able to show the legend about whatever I'm doing. So in that way, how do I pass my legend into it? So in passing legend, so you need to just put, when you put it up there, just go down here. Let me add another this and say plt dot legend, then you pass this to it, and when you run this, you should be able to have these things the way it is. This is stellar, this is, so it means that in the aspect of my label here, now if you comment this and run the same thing, you see that, sorry, I have already have this, so you have to remove this from here. So let me go to my labels here and then delete this. Sorry, yes. So now when I run this, you see that it didn't show up here. Sorry, I removed the labeling, which I don't supposed to remove. So now I say Ctrl Z, return here, Ctrl Y. Okay, so let me say plt.legend, then open and close, and then I'll run the same code. You will visually see that it brings in the legend the way it is. So if you want the legend with the header, like you want it to have a title, then this is how you can have a title to it. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it here. Then in aspect of passing a title to it, so you need to put here, when you say plt.legend here, you now have to say title, you see equal to, let me put it like the nice. So when I put it like beginners, so I've passed a title into it, and you can see here it is showing me beginners. So this is a way you can pass a title into what you have to have. As you see it here, this is black Steph, this is red Sterling, and rest of them. So this is a way you can pass this into it, and that is a way you can deal with legend. In that is pie chart, and how you can deal with like having adding legend to it. So in this case, I think this is probably where I am going to stop for now, and we will continue majorly. So what I just did was I ended up making sure that we have a full introduction of what we need to know about this. So we are going to be going ahead into aspect of going fully into um, what we're going to be working on. So for this, I am going to stop here, and I'm going to give you some minutes for break, and we will come back to the next part of what we are going to do next. So but for the meantime, this is what I want you to do, and I want you to work on it, get to know how it works. So on this note, I think I will stop sharing my screen. right here. Yeah.